have been waiting for a dual chamber mid-tower case for years now, and finally NZXT got the guts to do it. Now, I'm not going to show you the actual build process because there's hundreds of videos on that, but I am going to review this bad boy. With that said, let's get into this review. I didn't intend on this being in the video, but here's some sweet ASMR that every PC builder loves. And today is the next morning, and as you can tell, Black Widow is looking beautiful, better than ever. Now let me explain some things. Now I got this case for about $110. Now if I were to get the RGB version, that would have been $140. But I decided to put my own fans in and invest that extra 25 to 30 bucks into some 140 millimeter fans. These do not come with the case, which I really think they should, but I would much rather spend that money than to just have brand RGB. And I think that's a good segue to talk about the airflow and the range of water coolers, air coolers, and GPUs you can put in here. So this computer case has a 6.4 inch clearance for CPU air coolers and 14.4 inch clearance for GPU coolers. So if you have an extremely big GPU like the 4090 Strix, make sure you think about that before you buy it. So for motherboard sizing, you can fit ATX motherboards, ITX motherboards, and micro ATX motherboards in this case. Any others won't fit. There are specific grommets right here. As you can see, I will put it in some B-roll. The cable slot is right at the edge of that motherboard tray. So if you have a motherboard that is just a little bit fatter or a little bit bigger per se, it won't look good and or it just won't work. And then lastly, the radiator support for here is up to 360 millimeters. I do have a 240 on here right now. I do have a 5900X in here, but with the 240 rad, it's about 50 degrees Celsius in this case, which is by far the best I've ever had. All right, so now let's talk about some pros and cons about this case that I really loved, but I also kind of dislike. This is a dual chamber case. It is still a mid-tower, but it is a dual chamber. And if you guys don't know what that means, that is basically the power supply is in the back side of the computer. So you have this like fish tank almost feel in your PC. And this is the look that I was looking for. And I've been waiting so long for a mid-tower case because the H9 Elite, the Height Y60, the Height Y70, all of those they're pretty big, but I think it's the perfect size. Now, let's get into cooling because damn does this emphasize airflow. Now, because of the way NZXT has angled these fans right here, you can tell that the air kind of goes through and hits this corner, bounces off, and just gains all of this space right here. And I feel like this is a good segue to now talk about these 140 millimeter fans. Now, we talked about this in the beginning of the video, but I want to talk about this again because this has dropped my GPU temps by a staggering 10 degrees, okay? I am not joking. And that is due to just how much airflow that these 140 millimeter fans bring in. Because they are so big, they just push all that air up. Now, just to give you something to actually see, I have some temps right here beforehand. So this is from my old case. Now, this is on actually a good day. Usually I'd get about 70 to 75 degrees, but this was honestly in the night times, it was a bit cooler. Now look at the NZXT H6 Flow. It has dropped the GPU temps by, I would say, a solid 10 degrees, and the CPU temps by a solid 5 degrees. That is due to those fans, those 9 fans that you can put in there. The next pro is the fact that the I/O ports are on the bottom. I have had so many cases where they're on the top. I've had to reach over, and it's not practical. Having this right here just makes it so much easier just to, reach over, press the power button, plug something in, or whatever you need. Now, before we get into the cons of this PC case, I really wanted to talk about one thing that you may notice with this case is that it gives off the illusion that it's a bit slimmer at certain angles, and I will show this with B-roll. When you're sitting at diagonal from it, the PC case kind of disappears almost. It's hard to explain. You're just gonna have to see it through this B-roll, but because of that angle, it just makes it slimmer, and that's one of the main reasons why I got this. But let's segue to the negatives. And really, there only is 2 or 3, but still, every PC case has some negatives. So the number one thing that I really wanted to talk about, and this is a con, is the space behind here to build in. Now, when I'm talking about that, I mean by cable management, because there's only about 1.5 to 2 inches of space for you to actually cable manage. Now that is due to the angled bit right here. If there was no angled bit and if it was just flat, you would have so much more space. But because of this angled piece right here, it kind of takes away some space for cable management. So if you are new at building computers and or just don't really know how to train your cables properly, this is gonna be quite difficult and quite challenging. I spent a good 3 hours cable managing it, and it still doesn't look perfect. There's still some runoff cables. So just be aware before you build this. Just make sure you have either custom cables or make sure you have just the perfect length. So to wrap up this video, if you're wanting to get a mid-tower dual chamber case and you are thinking either about the Y60 or the NZXT H6 Flow, I would get the NZXT H6 Flow. Not sponsored, but this is just because this is an absurd case and it looks beautiful. The airflow is perfect. It's not the worst to build in, but it definitely is a struggle, so be wary of that. But all around, 10 out of 10, I would build in this case again. So I hope you guys enjoyed my video. If you did, make sure to subscribe and turn on those post notifications so you never miss a new video that I post. I post one either every week or every other week. I try not to miss those dates, but life happens. Comment down below what you guys want to see in the next video. Talk to you guys later. Peace out.